Oh, we'll lead off with Owen Perkins this time. Owen, go ahead.
Buddy, noticed a couple tweaks in the lineup. Can you talk at all about that? Is there, having Story up in the 2-hole, the moves that you made in there in that lineup?
Sure. Well, again, we have, we have 12 position players, and we're going to use them all. Owen, they're going to play, either start or come off the bench and help us try to win a game in a double switch, pinch hit, pinch run, defensive replacement, whatever that might be. And, we felt today was a good day to get Sam in there against Sanchez, and to get Fuentes back in the lineup again to, see if we can get him going. Hampson and Daza will be back in there tomorrow night against Wood, the left-handed pitcher. But it's about, using your entire roster. And I think with Trevor moving to the 2-hole, I think it's just a function of the guys that we have in the lineup today. And just to give everybody, really only him really a different look. I know we've moved Mac around from the 2-hole, down to the 6-hole. Chuck's been mainly the 4, now he's the 5. So again, it's, nothing really drastic, but with Hilliard and Fuentes in there, over Daza and Diaz, Daza and Hampson, everybody's going to play. Diaz will catch tomorrow. He'll catch Marquez against the lefty Wood. So you'll continue to see the utilization of our roster.
And the answer is probably self-evident, but maybe a little explanation. I think some managers like to stick with a certain lineup more, and if they take somebody out, they want somebody to go into that same position in the lineup, even if they're not a typical cleanup hitter, for example. You seem to prefer to adjust the lineup based on the personnel. Can you talk about those two approaches and, your affinity for moving the lineup and not keeping it rigid?
I would think that, again, I'm not, I don't look at every single lineup across baseball every day, but, and I don't know whether this is a good thing or bad thing, but I think, our lineup is probably more consistent than most as far as where guys hit. But I think all managers, juggle lineup and move guys around and, give guys a different look based on, if they're hot, if they're cold, certain pitcher that they might have an advantage against, all those things. But I think for us, I think we look and we study and we do our homework, and we have a process to what we feel on a given night gives us the best lineup. The way it flows, all the ins and outs of why guys are in certain spots, the stolen base component, the hit and run component, the left, right against a heavy dominated bullpen of either right-handers or left-handers, or a balance. There's a lot of things that go into a discussion amongst the coaches and I about the lineup construction.
Okay. And
okay.
On another note, just to close out for me, you talked briefly last night about the decision to use Fuentes. Is that you said it was, you looked at who was on the bench and decided to go that way. Is he your first, or not who was on the bench, but who you had available? Is he your first guy out, when you have to go beyond the pitching staff in the future?
Well, again, it depends on, who's on our roster. I think, like I said yesterday, it came down to Sam and Josh. And even though Sam has really collegiate experience as a pitcher, I just felt in last night's game that Josh was the prudent choice. If it happens again, it could be Sam. There's a little bit of me that, Sam being an ex-pitcher and a pretty physical guy with a really good arm, he might try to overdo it a little bit, even though I'd tell him beforehand to temper it. I can recall a game within the last year or so where Charlie Culberson of the Braves pitched and he was throwing 92 miles an hour. I would hate for Sam Hilliard to try to throw the ball over 90 miles an hour, but it could have happened last night, even though we might have told them that. But I thought Josh was the right choice yesterday.
What was your evaluation afterwards?
I thought he was a strike thrower. And again, today, as far as the lineup goes, we made a decision whenever a guy throws up a scoreless inning and throw strikes, he starts the next day.
At third. Okay.
At third, yeah.
Thanks. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah.
Nick Roque, go ahead.
Yeah, buddy, did you dive into video on Austin Gomber to see was he maybe tipping pitches? Were there some signs that were being
We did dive into a few things, Nick. Yeah. But, I'm going to keep those inside our clubhouse walls and to ourselves. But we did discern some things this afternoon through video. So, we're looking forward to, continue to work on that the next 3 or 4 days with Austin because some of the statistical numbers are alarming, with guys on second base.
Gotcha. And then separately, you've talked about what Kyle gains from being with the team during his rehab,
Right.
Not just him, but Brendan Rodgers and Peter Lambert too. But
Sure.
what does the team gain, if anything, from having them around? Is it helpful?
Well, again, I think there's a team component. There's a esprit de corps. There's a camaraderie that, the guys that you expect to be the big part of the group this season and maybe in coming years, familiarity and, just friendship and, guys being guys, it's advantageous. I think with Kyle, he's a really great teammate. He's a big part of our pitching staff as far as just the interaction with the other pitchers and the position players as well. And again, he's under the watchful eye of the big league coaches and the big league training staff. I mean, that's going to change here, in a week or two when he goes down and has to pitch in the minor leagues. But we got very competent and capable instructors in the minor leagues to oversee Kyle's rehab, and the same with Brendan. He's here with our major league hitting coaches. He's here with Stu. He's here with our trainers. Both guys are watching opposing teams. Brendan is watching Anthony DeScalfani. He's going to watch Aaron Sanchez tonight. He's going to watch Alex Wood tomorrow. He'll talk hitting with the rest of the guys about what the guys are throwing. He's watching the game and putting himself, in the batter's box. He's watching the speed of a big league game. He's watching how the ball is hit in the big leagues. He's watching, big league players and, comparing himself to those guys. Kyle is watching Longoria, Posey, Belt, Dickerson. He's gaining his own scouting report in real time, live at the ballpark against the opponents. Peter Lambert, the same with Kyle. So, sitting and watching a big league game, observing, there's a skill to that, to glean something from it. All the, organizations talk about advanced scouts and getting people in the ballpark to watch a big league game. I mean, our players who are on the injured list, or even our backup players, they're watching talent from the best seat in the house, and they're talking baseball for 9 innings in 3 hours, and they're watching video and they're learning. That's probably the biggest component, the education piece of this, that they're learning, even though they're not playing, they're learning.
And then just real quick, I really have to ask, does Dom Nunez owe you $5 every time you use the phrase esprit de corps?
I think I've only used it twice in the last few weeks. I have broken it out for sure. But I think it's, I've used it minimally over my 5 years here.
I love it. I don't want you to feel self-conscious. I love it. I
feel a little self-conscious now, but
no,
I did not know that Dom, is Dom a big esprit de corps guy?
No, I didn't know if it was like a dare maybe or something. I like it a lot. It's a great turn of phrase. Please.
I think it's a great one. I learned it from my father. As you guys know, he was a professional hockey player and a guy that believed in team, and he loved that phrase.
It's a good phrase. Awesome. Thank you.
You got it.
Thomas Harding.
Yeah, buddy. First of all, you hear me okay? Something disappeared on my
Thomas, you sound great. You've been shaky and fuzzy at other times, but today, Tuesday, you're great.
Had a good bullpen session. I'm ready to go. I'm going to use a term that I like using. If there are alarming numbers from second base, is that the pitcher, or is that maybe your catcher having to develop some savoir-faire?
Listen, this is a conversation that I'd like to say, hey guys, off the record.
Right.
But I know this is not going to be off the record on this type of format. So I'm not going to tell you exactly what we have, I can't tell you. Sorry. But there's a lot of different, because, hey, who knows? There might be some intel on the Zoom call that I don't know. There might be some Diamondback people who are following this, or whoever might be following. But I probably gave you too much information last night, and probably a little bit more today, but that's okay. Because really there's not a lot of secrets. But in this case, I'm going to keep some of that stuff that we've identified here within the clubhouse.
Okay, hey, with Sam, we saw.
Or when we get back together, we can have a baseball conversation in the dugout, knowing that you will keep some of the stuff off the record that professional baseball teams do, or even maybe some collegiate teams or high school teams.
Yeah.
From when in competition, pick up during the course of a ball game.
Right, and I look forward to it. Maybe even the next homestand, for all we know. Hey,
well, who knows, right?
Yeah.
I mean, things are loosening.
As far as Sam is concerned, we saw the single off the wall. I think he had a pop-up in a pinch hit situation, but what are you seeing that maybe there are some forward steps here, even though it's early and it's
Well, it's still early, just over 30 at bats. Again, we're still, into April. There's 5 months left of baseball, but I think with Sam, we've said it before. I think sometimes the swing can get too big and a little bit too much effort. We got to focus, more on contact. I think some of the chase rates and those things we talk about, I think Sam's in, pretty good shape, right? He's not swinging wildly. He might be swinging hard and a little big and with a lot of effort, but for the most part, he's swinging at strikes. We just got to get that contact rate up.
As far when he's watching a game, are there enough similarities between him and Ryan McMahon to where they can almost be partners in controlling their effort level, body movement, especially upper body?
Well, a little difference. So every swing's unique, until the player. So, with Sam, he's got different mechanical checkpoints than Ryan, and Charlie has different checkpoints than Sam, and Trevor has different checkpoints than Charlie. So they all have different things that the coaches and the player have identified as markers to keep an eye on. So Sam's got his own set of things that we're looking at, and he's trying to work on.
And just to make sure, with Kyle, will he be with you until a minor league season starts? And when you send him down there, will he be going into games, or what is the?
Well, he'll be with us until he goes on a rehab assignment for sure. Yeah, he'll be with us. I think I mentioned yesterday, there's a chance for a simulated game in the near future with us. Probably might not. What's today? Tuesday. Probably won't happen in Arizona, but our next homestand, it definitely could happen. Where he'll face some of our backup players on a given day. Whoever's not starting that day will be out early at 2 or 2:30 at Coors Field, and Kyle will get on the mound and face some of our hitters. That will probably happen. I'm hopeful that could happen next week, and then from there we'll assess where he is physically and whether he needs one more of those, and then he goes out on a rehab assignment to the minor leagues. By that time, the minor league season will have started. I think their season starts May 5th, I believe. I'm not sure if all leagues start on the 5th, but I know they're around that date is when AAA, AA, and A ball start.
All right, thank you, buddy.
You're welcome, Thomas.
I'll go to Patrick Saunders.
Afternoon, buddy. How are you?
I'm well.
Good. couple more on Kyle. He told us he was going to throw a bullpen today. Has he done that already?
Yes, he has. I've witnessed that.
And
I thought it was outstanding. I thought he threw the ball great. Some hitters stood in and tracked the ball. Brendan Rodgers, Jonathan Daza, Ryan Valade, they stood in out in the bullpen and tracked Kyle's pitches. I thought Kyle threw a good fastball changeup only, but solid velocity on his fastball, good action on his changeup. He looked good, Patrick. I'm excited for him, and he feels good too, mentally and physically.
you had told us last time we spoke to you about Kyle, he was at about 85% effort level. Has he ramped that up at all? Is he
Yes.
still around that?
I think
Yeah.
he's ramped that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
To piggyback on Thomas's question, when Kyle does start competing in the minor league level and on the rehab stint, will you guys treat that kind of like his spring training?
Yes.
Is that kind of how that works?
Yes.
Okay. Same thing for Brandon Rodgers when he goes down for his, or is his time frame going to be a little shorter?
It's a little different because, a starting pitcher needs, a number of weeks to get ready to come up to the big leagues and have a pitch count where you feel good about him going, anywhere from 80 to 100 pitches. It's tough to, have a starting pitcher on a pitch count less than what you would expect out of 5 innings or more. So Kyle has to get to that stamina point. He's got to get to that, that durability of pitch count. Position player, different story. As long as they're healthy and they're feeling good and their body's good, they've been hitting, they've been running, they've been taking ground balls. It depends on, what our minor league people see about the bat speed, the timing. Do they look game ready? And usually, that time frame is quite a bit shorter than what a starting pitcher would need to get ready for a major league game.
Okay, and one more Kyle Freeland question from me. You've come to know him pretty well, I think it's safe to say. Has his attitude, that fiery competitiveness that we've all seen, how much of a factor do you think that's been in what so far anyway has been a pretty successful rehab from what could have been a pretty crushing injury?
Well, I think that, once the scans came back, once all the doctors collaborated on the findings, how his arm felt 4 or 5 days after the injury, you could sense that there was a sigh of relief from Kyle. And he knew that he was going to be okay, that he was going to be fine. And I think that his work ethic, his determination, has played a part in, the rehab process. And I think most athletes are like that, Patrick. I mean, they have, tremendous work ethic, or they wouldn't have gotten to this stage. If they wouldn't have gotten to this level of the highest level of baseball, being a big leaguer. But what I've sensed in the last couple of weeks is a presence of Kyle of joyfulness, because he knows he's back. He feels good. I worry about players all the time. I'm going to worry about Kyle till, I don't have him anymore. And I'll probably still worry about him, about the health of our players, because it's so paramount for obviously their career and what they end up doing as big leaguers, right? I mean, health is such a major component in a player's career. But this injury is one where the doctors, Doogie, our medical staff, felt pretty good about it once it quieted down and they were really able to see the imaging and really pinpoint where the tear was in the shoulder, that they knew this was rehabable and, that was probably going to happen. So, but, Kyle's just, he's a big part of this team in a lot of ways. The spirit, the energy that it brings, I've said it many times. I love the fact that he's from Denver and he's playing for his favorite team. I mean, it's so cool. And he brings that to the park every day, to the clubhouse, to the dugout, to the field. I mean, not many players can say that and really truly mean it and live it. And it's a dream. It's awesome.
Cool. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
I'll go to Noah and then circle back to Nick Roque to finish. Noah, go ahead.
Hey, bud. Few questions for you. First off, I assume he's on the taxi squad since you just mentioned him with Ryan Valade, but who are some of your other guys that you have on the taxi squad?
Brian Servin, the catcher. He replaced Chris Rabago. Rabago's down at the alternate site playing games. That's some of the process of this is, when you're on the taxi squad here, you're not playing games in Arizona. So there's a drawback to being on the taxi squad, but yet I think there's an advantage for, a guy like Servin and a guy like Valade and a guy like Chad Smith and a guy like Justin Lawrence who are here, and also Jose Mojica is here. But Jose Mojica has pitched in big league games. He was up with us in September. But these other fellows, haven't felt the intensity of a regular season game. How the dugout feels, how the clubhouse is prior to the game. Taking batting practice and ground balls or throwing a bullpen in a big league bullpen off a big league bullpen mound. Ryan Valade taking fly balls in left field at Oracle Park or in the cage at 6 o'clock before a game, taking batting practice on a big league field. So when that happens to him, when he's an active major leaguer, he's been through that. There's, again, some of the awe is knocked off and you become more comfortable. You feel just better about your surroundings because you've been through certain things. That's the advantages of, this COVID situation with a taxi squad. On another note, you're probably going to ask me about Ryan McMahon. Did I read something today about him having the most defensive runs saved in the National League or all of baseball?
At least as of last weekend, he was. I'm not sure about now, but
yeah, I think you can follow up on that, and maybe I do have to reach out to my pal Ruben.
The other one I was going to ask you about is as one of the other changes with the COVID regulations and all that is traveling with umpires and working multiple series with
Sure.
you guys.
Right.
How has that been different for you guys, especially with this current crew, since I know Kerwin Danley is a San Diego State guy like you were?
As is Alan Trejo.
True. Yep.
But, it was weird last year because, they were on our airplane. They actually flew with us a number of different times, different crews, right? That, MLB wanted to keep them off commercial airlines. So they traveled with us. They were part of our traveling party. They were on our airplane. They sat in and around our players and our coaching staff. So that was unique. There used to be a day, Noah, when members of the press, our regular beat writers, flew with us on our plane. Tracy Ringlesby, Jack Etkin flew on Kansas City Royal charters back in the day. That was common practice. Now, they were sort of part of the team. Now things have changed, obviously, but as far as doubling up and calling, calling games, being part of the umpiring crew for multiple series in a row, that hasn't been a big deal for us or the players or the umpires. I think there's such a professionalism in the umpires and with the players and the coaches and everybody involved that, everybody has a job to do and they do it. So I don't think that factors into much really.
Thank you very much.
Yes, I do remember Kerwin and I were at San Diego State. I graduated right when he was coming in.
Yeah.
He was very close with Tony Gwynn Sr. They were buddies. Tony and I played. My senior year was Tony's sophomore year, and then Kerwin came in right after that. So when I graduated from college and I got into pro ball, I came back to state in the offseason and helped out. And Kerwin was on those teams that I started way back when, even I didn't even know it. I helped Coach Dietz out for a couple winters there at State before spring training started.
Thank you very much.
Okay, guys, thank you.
All right, thank you, buddy.
All right.